You would probably agree with me that feelings and emotions are a very natural part of the human journey, right? And yet the question arises, why are we having such difficulty as individuals and as a society as a whole to have a mature relationship with our feelings? I want to share with you 3 reasons why it is so important for you to start cultivating a mature relationship with your feelings and emotions, why we are having a challenging relationship with feeling, and we will also touch upon how you can create a more mature relationship with your heart and your feeling. My name is Nayeli Dalisay. I'm a certified Sophia Circle leader and a spiritual mentor focusing on how we can navigate from grief to grace in a good way. My mother passed when I was 12 and she was diagnosed with cancer when I was 6. I remember that I never learned how to feel what came up in those early moments in my childhood. It was only in my late teenage years where I finally allowed myself to feel all of the bubbled up feelings. And then as a second step in my early 20s, I felt such a huge knot in my throat whenever I wanted to start crying and feeling the grief that would arise in my life, and I was not able to channel it in a good way. I was so ashamed of all of my feelings, and I was not feeling safe to actually express my feelings in a good way, and I never learned how to do that. The first reason is for you to liberate yourself. When we can surrender and open ourselves up to feel the vastness of emotions once again, then we can start feeling the joy of life again. We can start feeling the bliss and the ecstasy once again. The longer we cultivate this relationship, the more we understand that in the challenging moments of life, we can still have this ecstatic connection of, yes, my soul is experiencing a very unique situation right now, and the biofeedback for my soul in this very challenging situation is actually so much love and joy and compassion in that. The second reason for us to actually cultivate this mature relationship is that our feelings stop governing our lives. Our feelings are governing our lives when they are suppressed and numbed and not looked at. Everything in creation wants to be witnessed for what it is, and it wants to be loved for what it is. When we are not allowing our feelings to be felt, we are not acknowledging that aspect of our own consciousness that wants to be seen and witnessed, then a certain type of resentment happens, or we start suppressing these feelings and emotions. We want to run away from them until we cannot run away from them any longer, because there was so much pain and grief and sadness and anger and jealousy and resentment and everything bubbled up into this small human body that we have. At some point it just bursts out of us. The third reason why it's so important for us to create this mature relationship with our feelings is actually to literally stay healthy and sane in this world. When we suppress feelings and emotions, we bubble it up, as I shared before, right? And it creates stagnancy within our lives, within our bodies. And in the long run, this can have a very detrimental outcome for our overall well-being and health. So it's so important for us to allow the energies to move through again and to be essentially the vessel of the divine for all the sensations to actually flow through without any attachment or judgment around that. So I want to share a couple of reasons why we have such a challenging relationship with our feelings. These are just a couple of reasons that I have tracked down in my own journey. If you have any other reasons, feel free to put it down into the comment section, and let's create this beautiful bubble of wisdom together. The first reason that I tracked down is because we judge ourselves and our feelings. There is this belief of this is a good feeling, this is a bad feeling, this is a feeling that we are allowed to have, and this is a feeling that we must hide away, because if we're feeling that, that means that we are not good enough, or that we are just not allowed to be part of the group or the society that we are living in. A really beautiful example in that is jealousy, anger, resentment, and also fear to some extent. I remember when I first acknowledged that I was jealous, and I also remember the many times where I was jealous and I never acknowledged it, because how I was programmed into believing that I'm not allowed to be jealous of anyone because that makes me a bad person. The first time I acknowledged that I was jealous of a friend of mine, it was so liberating, really. I had a conversation with that friend of mine, and it was so healing for my human mind to understand that it's okay to feel jealousy. It is a biofeedback that I'm having within my own universe of the reason why I'm feeling jealous, because it's something that touches me. And it sounds so simple. However, how often are we suppressing in every given moment the feelings that arise within our lives? Because it can happen like in a split second, one after the other. Feelings and emotions are like water. It wants to flow through us, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. And if we allow these feelings to move through us like a current, if we surrender to that, then it's like babies, right? One moment they are fully happy and enjoy, and the other moment they are crying, their eyes out and their hearts out, but they don't feel attached. They are just a vessel for the emotions to move through. And that's what we actually get to do once again. That's what we get to remember once again. And I just want to set a disclaimer here. I am not telling you to go out and be disrespectful or emotionally immature with the feelings that are here with you. Emotional maturity means that you're allowed to feel it all. However, you get to respect the boundaries of a certain person or collective. It is not up to you to purge all of your feelings that you're feeling out to someone else. It is up to you to cultivate a really beautiful relationship with your inner universe, that you can acknowledge all of these aspects of yourself that want to be heard, that want to be felt, that want to be experienced by your presence, and then allow the peace that passes all understanding to bless and baptize you. That's the real prayer. So don't just take this as a permission slip and say I'm telling you to feel it all, and you're going outside and you're angry and jealous and resentful and all of these feelings of someone else, and then you're purging it out onto them and you're the victim. None of that. You are responsible for your emotions and feelings and for your reality. There is a beauty in your feelings. There is a beauty in allowing and surrendering that you get to feel it all. So to weave it back into the reasons why it's so challenging for us to feel as a collective is because we judge our feelings big time. We feel ashamed and guilty for our feelings very often. And we're told that some feelings are good to have, right? We are allowed to be happy. We want to be happy. But the funny thing is that expressing too much joy and happiness is also not okay. We have to be in this middle point where we can't go left and right. We just have to be like this. That's another reason why we're having such a challenging relationship with our feelings, because feeling it all means that we have to take up the space to feel it all. Also with joy. If you have a very genuine connection with your joy, you know that it really opens up a lot of space. You need to be able to fully channel this energy and to reclaim your space within your life. And that's freaking scary, because that means that you get to set your boundaries. That means that you get to be seen in a different light. That means that you get to be exploring who you are in a very new way. Especially when we start on this journey, this can be very, very, very challenging and scary. However, I just want to tell you that one sacred step at a time and you will be on the right track. Another reason why we're having such a challenging relationship with feelings is because of the fear of the pain that will arise when we open ourselves up to the feelings. I'll rephrase it a little bit. Feeling our feelings can be very painful. I think we've all been there. We've all had our really sobbing, deep cries. We've all had the feeling of despair and the feeling of loneliness within our lives. It's really scary to revisit these feelings when they're about to bubble up and rise up. So sometimes what can happen in the healing journey is that, okay, we felt it, we had one weekend of feeling it all, maybe in a retreat, maybe within our own four walls, maybe in a therapy session, and we're like, okay, I felt it all and I'll just continue on going. I'm healed now, right? I've been there. I don't know if you've been there. And and it's okay to feel that and experience that, right? It's so important for us to acknowledge that it's due to the fear of that pain that arises when we start feeling our feelings. That can create some sort of control mechanism and wanting to suppress the feelings again, even though we might be aware how important it is to feel it all. I have found in my own journey that it's always like a new surrendering and letting go of control of the feelings that are arising, especially when it's a very challenging feeling that is here. The invitation of moving through the threshold never gets less scary. There's still always this apprehension of like, whoa, is it safe to enter these very big and intense feelings? Is it safe to go in there? It requires so much trust for us to actually enter these sacred spaces, and that's okay. Take your time on this journey. Okay, the last reason, I know this has been a big roller coaster of a ride of like sharing the reasons of why we are having challenging relationships with our feelings. The last reason that I have tracked down is that we are scared of how others will perceive us. We are scared how others will perceive us because we depend on other people. If we go back to the more traditional way of living, if we are expelled by our community, then we will be alone and most likely we will not survive. Most likely, not in all cases. So I'll just recap the reasons why we are having challenging relationships with our feelings. So first of all, we judge our feelings full on. Second of all, we feel very scared of how others might perceive us when we express our feelings. We feel ashamed and guilty for our feelings. We feel scared of taking that much space up in order to feel it all. And we feel scared of actually feeling the pain of the feelings that might arise. So these are the 5 reasons that I wanted to convey with you today. It is so important for us to feel it all. It is so important for our emotional, mental, spiritual well-being and health to have a mature relationship with our feelings and allow them to flow through us like water, to move through us, and for us to actually be very sober and clear of what the next prayer is and what the next creation is. We must have this very mature relationship with our emotions so that we can actually show up for the great prayer that is praying through us. And just know that we are living in a society right now where, yes, we can agree that feelings and emotions are a very natural part of the human journey. However, we don't really learn how to feel it all. Our parents never really learned it, so how should we learn it? We're learning it now as we're growing up and as we're maturing spiritually as well. Also know that you are not alone with all of the big feelings that you are moving through. I know that very often I feel lonely and confused and separated from the world when I'm feeling a lot of big feelings that are sometimes really challenging to handle in my body. Know that you're not alone at all, and it is safe for you to start figuring out in a curious way in relationship with your heart what your heart is expressing to you, what your heart is sharing with you, how you can start feeling it on a very somatic level. That's my message for you today. Feel free to share down below how you navigate through your feelings, and I'm just sending you so many blessings, beautiful one, and so much love.